Now this business was on with a broker, went in hard and just said, look, the price is crazy, what are you on about? It's always going to be a somewhat emotional thing that you value more than the market does. But because it's construction and because I love builders, if you can't see me right now, I'm saying this through very gritted teeth. I absolutely love builders. And you know what? That might just be the last acquisition for a while. Hello everyone, welcome back to the TED Talks podcast. I'm moving a mini series analyzing deals that I come across every week, potentially every day when I'm looking at buying a business, buying another cleaning business to add to the 3 that I've already bought, 4 businesses in total. And today's conversation was quite interesting because what I find when I speak to these businesses is you either have one that has a niche and they do it, or you have one that's the niche is kind of being broad. And that's what we are. So I will happily buy a business that is quite broad, that's like just doing a bunch of offices. You could be turning over £1 million like us, just doing offices, and I'm very interested, right? But as we are hitting and passing £1 million in annual revenue, I really want a niche. I really want something to specialize in on the side that brings in a much higher profit margin, but is maybe more one-off, or kind of, isn't always as contracted. Maybe it's a little bit more loose. Maybe it's a couple of jobs a year. Maybe we need a van for it, some equipment and whatever it is. So I'm really interested in diversifying, strengthening the business by looking at a niche. Now this business was on with a broker, usual dog shit brokers. And yeah, I went in hard and just said, look, the price is crazy. What are you on about? They replied saying, look, it's 3x multiple. It will be, 9 months before we get an offer at asking price. I said, huh? So you're listing it knowing that you're asked the price you want isn't going to be hit for 8 months, but then the person does want to sell it now. But okay, cool. Asking price from the seller is nuts. Is it 1,000,000 miles off? No. Is it 1,000 miles off? Yes. They want a big multiple of the last year, not of 3 years averaged, which is the safer thing to do. Okay, cool. Maybe we do an earn out then. So you do get the benefit of having grown your business like crazy. You're not punished for that, but it comes at the price of later. And we need to see it first and feel it and experience it first. Or you're still in the business and you earn it out. There's loads of ways to kind of, do this. We had a chat, really nice lady, grew the business herself with her partner, both have experience in either niche, cleaning and construction. And so a lot of the work they do is in the new build area, built environment. And it's very interesting because they almost kind of take part of the construction and then see the cleans through, builders clean, sparkle clean, reclean, whatever, until the end, whilst also doing welfare cleaning, which is when you clean the huts and the toilets and things that builders will use when they're on site for these new, usually for these big new build development projects, right? Where there's 50, 60 houses and there's potentially hundreds of trades. Getting one trade to turn up is hard enough, so well done for getting more than 10 on site at the same time. So that was quite interesting, and for me it would add more value to a business. But because it's construction and because I love builders, if you can't see me right now, I'm saying this through very gritted teeth, I absolutely love builders. I kind of said to her, look, that half of the business honestly is a pain in the ass, and she already described it as one before I even said anything. She was like, yeah, it is, of course it is. Yes, it makes good money, yes, the margins are very good, but honestly it's not a niche I want to get into at that level. Now we'll do welfare, builders, cleans, whatever, but really linking it up with the construction side and being so intertwined with that for me is not, and there's obviously quite a few businesses like this that are intertwined with it that actually, for the right person, hold a lot of value, For me, it doesn't. And so asking price was a bit off structure. They wanted 100% upfront. I said, look, that's not how it works. A lot of people have a misconception of, well, you buy the business off me, you fuck it up, or you make it look fucked up, and then I don't get the rest of my money. Yes, people can do that. Your solicitor should protect you against this. So should the contract, but that's not usually how it works. Like the payments are guaranteed irrespective of the business. They're not linked to performance unless it's an earnout or linked to performance. It's just an agreement. So I kind of said, look, this is how it actually is. And I think she opened up a little bit more to that. The asking price for me is just crazy because of the niche, because it's only so immediate, because they've grown very quickly, which is very good. But the type of contracts for me and the construction side, they just don't, it just doesn't all marry together for me to give it that kind of value. Will this business sell at a decent price? Yeah, it absolutely will. Will I think, will it go for that amount? I don't think so. Looking at the accounts, and going off her adjustments, again, net profit wasn't really there or thereabouts. So it was a very quick conversation and we said, look, you got my details. If things change, sits on the market, come back to me and let me know. And I appreciate why people are wanting a lot for their business, because nobody knows what you have been through in your business day to day, month to month, year on year to get it to that stage. So you're always going to factor in blood, sweat, and tears. It's always going to be a somewhat emotional thing that you value more than the market does. Like, always. Yes, I've spoken to a few sellers who are very realistic, and that's fantastic. Who understand the limitations or the reasons or, things like that, and are totally honest and transparent. And, when I say, look, you've got 7 clients there, they earn 30 quid a month net profit each. Like, that's negative. I would just get rid of them the second I take that. What is the point? Not worth the money? Like, tell me why. Tell me why those still exist on your books, or the price is not higher. And there's not always a reason for it. And so balancing, look, I understand that view with what the broker's telling them, which is always nonsense, with this is where we are at. I mean, we're always miles apart, right? Always. But it's, what can you show me? What transparency can you give me that I can then put in my spreadsheet, I can look at and say, oh, actually, I can get closer. And how can you bring yourself down a peg? And how can we meet in the middle? I would say that historically, I've been too cheap. When I said this on my podcast with Dee, I've been too cheap in terms of the multiples I was looking for. I'm definitely now more realistic and kind of increasing what I'm potentially offering. I'm following up with the companies that I've spoken to over the last year, every month or so. There's one, hopefully, that, kind of said, look, I want to buy your business this year. So, what do we need to do this year? Because, I want to end the year on higher, and that should take it to 1.4 mil. Or by the time it's done, we might be at 1.5. And you know what? That might just be the last acquisition for a while. And I might do that one if it goes ahead, which right now, I don't know, it's quite likely, but for me, nothing is anything until the money, till it's done. Not even until it's signed, till it's done. People love to renege on contracts, as my CCJ small claims account will show you. So that would be quite nice. But yeah, this business today, I think it showed me also that there's money to be made, again, in every single niche, in every single sector. But again, someone messaged me on Instagram and said, someone I know works for a cleaning business, can they set up on their own? Yes. Is it easy? No. Is it simple? Yes. But is it hard? Of course it is. And that's why I'm running my mastermind, guys. I haven't firmed the date up yet, but it will be very, very soon. So click the link in this podcast description. Actually, the best thing to do, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's have a chat. Let me understand what you want, what you need. It's not just for cleaning businesses, it's for every single business. So one day with me in person, we are going to be going through your business, through your mindset, through your vision, your ambitions. We're going to look at your figures. We're going to look at everything for everyone and answer all your questions. I'm going to be sharing things that I never share publicly. Click onto my Instagram, send me a DM, tell me about yourself, tell me what you're looking to do, and let's work together. But it can be set up. And I say to people, and this is what I mentor people on, my mentee in Qatar, he's quoting right now on a 200K a year job. He's started 4 months ago. He's already turning over a good couple of grand a month. Like, he's miles away. He's not been on site once. He's never seen a mop bucket. But it's possible and it can be done. You just need to know what you're doing and how you're doing and have the right people supporting you. And these M&A conversations, hopefully they're useful to you in terms of what I look for, how I look for things. And if you're looking to buy a business, let me know. I'm always happy to chat to people. I'm in the 5D group, big up D Ludlow. So if you're in that as well, give me a shout and let's see what we can do. But that was today's business. And next week, I'm sure there will be another.